welcome to this edition of Joy in Our Town. Today I'd love to introduce my guest, Dallas Stamper. Dallas is the Executive Director of Penn Ministry. Penn Ministry stands for People in Need. And our topic today is homeless, and our issue is the needs of the homeless during the winter months. So thank you for being with us
Thank
today,
you for
Dallas.
having me.
I've actually been really excited about meeting you because I'm familiar with your organization. You're located down at the ocean
We
front.
are.
At Virginia
We
Beach.
lease space from a church down at the ocean front on Baltic Avenue. And it's a great location because that's where a lot of homeless people tend to be.
Right, and you guys do a lot of things as far as helping the homeless.
We do. We
not only
provide food, clothing, hygiene supplies, medical care. We help people with housing. We have a job training program to help people get jobs. So we really are a holistic ministry because the interesting thing is it's not. Most people think if somebody's homeless, it's just a housing issue.
Right.
But it's very much deeper than that. And so if you only fix the housing issue, but you don't deal with the other issues, then that person, we find, will end up being homeless again.
Now, you're a pastor,
Yes.
is that right?
Yes.
And so this is your church.
It is.
In a
It
sense.
is.
So
It
how,
is.
how did you even get involved?
Yeah, well, it happened probably about 12 years ago when I went to church and the sermon was about, do you love poor people? And my wife and I went home and started to pray about, do we love poor people? And we realized there was nothing in our lives that indicated we love poor people. We didn't know any poor people. We didn't help any organizations that help poor people. So we made 10 sandwiches and took them down to the ocean front, and we gave them out to 4 homeless guys.
Wow.
And the weird
That's
thing
how it
was,
started?
That's how it started. Yeah, and we hung out with them for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And they were like looking at their watches like, why are these people still here? Because most people, when they feed homeless people, their goal is to feed homeless people.
Right.
But our goal was to love them. And so in order to love somebody, we talk to them.
Yeah, you had to get a relationship with them.
Exactly. And so
Yeah.
after about 3 hours, we said, hey, if we came back next week, would you guys be here? And they said yes. And we got in our car and we were high-fiving each other like we thought we were going to grow old with these 4 homeless
Yeah.
guys. We went back the next week and there were like 10 people there. And it just
Oh,
kept
wow.
growing and growing and growing.
So the initial 4, they started telling their friends.
Yeah.
Oh
After
my
6
gosh.
months, we were feeding 60 people.
Wow.
It just kept growing. And then we started praying and more people came because I knew it was more than just my family could do.
Yeah. So as far as needs this time of year when it is so cold, I mean, obviously, coats and...
Yeah, coats and blankets and
Blankets.
sleeping bags. One of the things I think that people try to do is, one of the things they should do is investigate organizations out there that are helping people
Yeah.
and provide them to them, because oftentimes what happens is they may not know who needs what.
Right.
Because oftentimes times people will give to just the person that's visible.
Right.
And it's not always even the person that's visible that's getting things, because the person that's making themselves very visible is probably getting all the things they need because people are providing it. And so I say always find a good organization that helps homeless people and give those things to them.
Yeah. So, okay, now you had this idea or first heard this sermon 12 years ago, but then when did you actually start? I mean, it sounded sort of had an
it took
organic-
about a year and a half. So I have a degree in electrical engineering,
Oh,
and I was an
wow.
engineering manager at General Electric. And so I was sort of on the fast track. I managed
Yeah.
people all over the world, and I literally just realized, I started to pray about where would my impact be. But
Right.
the problem was I made a good salary,
Yeah.
and so I started trying to recruit people to lead the ministry. And every time I would recruit somebody, they would say, "But you do this."
Oh, yeah.
And they would go, "But you do this." And the more I prayed, the more I realized that God was really telling me to trust Him.
Right.
And so in 2006, I left my job and initially didn't get paid anything at Penn.
Wow.
Because I knew it needed a leader
Yeah.
to help guide it, to put it in a position where we could help more people.
So when you first started, you were serving food.
Yes.
And then how did that evolve into doing?
It's really crazy how it evolved. Like I'd have homeless people come to me and go, "I got this bruise here, what's this mean?" And I started praying about a nurse coming. And we had a nurse that came and she actually started providing medical care.
Oh my
And then we
gosh.
just had a couple that said, "We'd like to start providing clothing." One of the things early in our ministry that people learned that they couldn't tell me some lacking thing in our organization because I'd ask them to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And so it just kept growing that way. One of the things that our ministry's always grown on, what do they need?
Right.
We're people in need. And so everything we do has come out of them saying we need.
Right.
And then we pray about how we can do that and how we can
That's
provide
fantastic. So it started with food, then medical.
that. It started with food, then clothing, then hygiene
clothing.
supplies, then medical, and then it just kept growing from there. And then once we got more established, once I went full time, that's when we started doing, we do 12-step recovery groups for the people that are dealing with alcohol, drug issues.
Yeah.
We do a job training program. We have Bible studies. The church service came out of that. And so we just began to realize that the needs they had.
As far as speaking about recovery and addiction, what usually comes first? Is it homelessness leads to addiction or addiction leads to?
It almost always starts with addiction or some sort of mental health issue. And so from an addiction side, what happens is people have addictions.
Yeah.
And they end up like either they burn all the bridges they have, if they have any bridges, or just drugs and alcohol will take a lot of money. We had a lady one time that was getting $2,000 from the Navy for disability, but she had a $6,000 a month drug habit.
Wow.
And so how do you supply a $6,000 drug habit?
Yeah.
You can guess how a woman might do that
Right,
at the oceanfront of Virginia Beach. And so once she actually she came to our ministry, started a relationship with Jesus, and then began to change.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen immediately, but it took time, and now she's got her son back. She actually lives in Florida now.
Oh my gosh. So over the years that you've been doing this, is this something that is the number of homeless are increasing, decreasing, staying the same?
In the area, I don't know if it's increasing or decreasing. I think there's more housing available, like the city has this Housing First program, so there's more housing available, but I just see lots of people all the time.
Right.
So I
the
think,
same people over and over, or are they kind of
yes
people?
and no. Some of the people are the same people over and over, but what happens is we see people that get their lives changed and they get back on their feet.
Yeah.
But what happens sometimes if you don't have a good support network in place, once you get back on your feet, you one paycheck away, it's really easy to get discouraged and fall back down.
Right. So what do you do? How do you help that?
Well, you really can't. You put safeguards in place, but people have to make decisions.
Right.
And one of the big things for us is trying to help people make better decisions.
Right. So what do you think? What causes homelessness? And I know there are a variety of things. I mean, from mental health to
I would say what causes homeless is brokenness. I would say it starts with brokenness. So you have some brokenness in your life, and that brokenness manifests itself in something.
Right.
It may be maybe you have a mental health issue. Maybe you have some sort of I've seen a lot of people have been sexually abused that are out there.
Yeah.
And so they cover that up with drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about in society today, when anybody has any behavior that's beyond what we think, we give them drugs.
Right.
We send them to a doctor and we give them drugs. And so oftentimes what happens is people that are homeless will start out as people that are medicating themselves, and then they'll just put themselves in a position where they'll be homeless.
Oh my gosh. So you offer hope, obviously.
Yeah.
How about counseling? I mean,
we do. But really, what's more important than counseling for them is community.
Oh yeah.
Is to feel like they're part of a community, and that's one of the big things that we offer is to help them know that they're part of a community. Because being part of a community, once you realize you're part of a community, you'll want to begin to help and be part of that. So we have homeless people that come and volunteer at our organization.
Oh, wow.
And some of the things some of the things they get from us, we don't give away. They have to earn them.
Oh, wow.
So like if you want a backpack, a sleeping bag, a tent, you have to earn that.
Yeah.
So what you do is you come and volunteer. We give you a PIN, what we call a PIN priority pass, and you can use that to purchase things. Because what I've found is when somebody buys something, it's more valuable to them. If I just hand you something, it's just something I got for free.
Yeah.
But when you earn something, you treat it differently.
Right.
And so what we want to do, and if you earn a priority pass, what's the difference between getting a job and earning money that you can then use for a place to live?
So you actually have a facility.
We have a leased facility.
But you have a place where people can come.
Yes.
Can they spend the night there?
No, they cannot. They cannot. That's one of the things that we're hoping to do. Now the city's building a center off of Witch Duck Road, and so we hope to partner with them on that, but it won't house everybody.
Right.
So we live in a tough city because Virginia Beach has a lot of restrictions on where you could house people.
Right.
And so it's not as easy as it sounds. I've been praying about it for, 13 years, but it's not as easy as it sounds.
What about, they're actually living on the street or in
you live where you can.
Yeah, but you would provide the blankets, especially in the winter season. They would come to your facility. They would get blankets and some food.
They can get food. Yeah, we provide a meal. We probably on Sundays we feed anywhere from 120 to 200 people.
Wow.
We provide clothing. We provide hygiene supplies. So anybody could come and get a blanket. But if you want a sleeping bag, you'll have to earn that.
Oh yeah.
And so what I try to tell people is like, it's December and it's warm now, but it's going to be cold in February.
Yeah.
So don't come to me in February and say, I need a sleeping bag.
Right.
I want you to earn one now. You earn the
Yeah.
priority pass now. When you come in February, I'll give it to you.
Now, are these donated sleeping bags?
No, we buy, some of them are donated, but we buy them.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's certain sleeping bags, we buy the more expensive ones, the
Yeah.
ones that help you when it's really cold.
Oh, wow,
And
that's
so we end up
great.
the backpacks, we get some donated, but the ones they earn, we usually buy those, and we buy the sleeping bags. And if somebody buys us those, there's the ones you buy at Walmart, sometimes they're good for 40 degrees, like if you
Oh,
went
yeah.
camping in the summertime, but
Right.
the ones that are below 20 degrees are the ones you want to give to somebody who's homeless.
So what, in your experience helping these people, what has been the biggest need
For them personally?
or for you to help them?
We have very little staff. Most of ours is volunteers. So like I told you earlier, one of the biggest needs for us is nurses.
Yeah.
We're short on nurses. We provide medical care. We provide probably about $1,200 worth of prescriptions a month for people.
Oh my gosh.
And
So
we
you have to buy those prescriptions?
We buy those, yes.
Oh,
we
yeah.
buy those. And
So you need a pharmacist?
No, we actually we have a relationship with a local
Oh, that's
place that
good.
helps us, that gives us
Yeah.
a discounted rates, and the $4 prescription list, we work with that. But yeah, we could use doctors and nurses to help us to see people. And one of our nurses who's on our board of directors told me one time is just like holding somebody's hand and praying with them.
Wow.
Like, because if you're homeless, most of the time people look away from you.
Yeah.
You almost become detestable. I had
yeah.
a homeless guy one time that told me a story where he was at the ocean front and he was looking at this 2-year-old girl and her mom was holding her hand, and the little girl looked at him and he looked at her, and the little girl waved at him and he waved at her, and then the mom looked down and realized what was happening, and she jerked her daughter and said, don't ever look at a person like that.
Oh, wow. And he
So
heard that?
He heard that, yes.
So that's another thing you offer is dignity.
Dignity, yes. I think one of the things is people lose their dignity when they're homeless, and it's very much in my heart to give people, to give them dignity. That's why
Yeah.
don't do everything for them.
Right.
Let them do
Right.
things. It's not my problem to fix their lives.
Yeah.
It really is their problem. And so
Yeah.
what I'm saying is I want to help you do this.
Right.
But you're going to have to take a role in it. When that happens, we have people that have come and want us to help them. And we
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Because we want to love them, because that's how our ministry started. But really our success comes when they take an active role
Right.
in helping themselves.
And you find that they want to do that. They're
I think
willing
so.
and receptive
I think
to that.
so. The problem is if you failed enough,
Yeah.
it's hard, it's like teenage boys when they ask a girl to a dance.
Yeah.
If you get turned down enough, you're going to stop asking them. And that's what
Right.
happens with homeless people. They get pushed down enough that
Right.
it almost becomes a fear. Like I had a guy who had a violent felony and he couldn't get a job. And I was trying to
Yeah.
encourage him to go put in applications, but every time he put in an application and he couldn't get a job. And it was so frustrating for him because he's like, Dallas, I'm telling you, I can't get a job.
Right.
And
And
he-
people wouldn't hire him.
They wouldn't, because even people, like, you'll see someone holding a sign that says, we'll work for food.
Right.
And oftentimes we think, you lazy bum, why don't you just get a
Yeah.
job? That person might have something on their record, like maybe they're a sex offender or have
Right.
a violent felony. They can't even get a job at McDonald's.
That makes so much sense. Stay with us, because I really want to talk a little bit more about that,
Sure.
too, about how
Sure.
to help. But we'll be right back. We have to take a break. I'm Ann Farrell Tata. This is Joy in Our Town. Stay with us, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Joy in Our Town. We're going to continue our conversation with Dallas Stamper. He's the Executive Director of Penn Ministry, and Penn Ministry is People in Need. And we're going to continue our conversation about the homeless and also switch gears a little bit and talk about how the church can help the homeless. So thanks for staying with us.
Thank you.
And before we go there, I want to kind of finish what we were talking about. We were talking about, and this is kind of an issue I think a lot of people struggle with, the myths of
Right.
you see somebody and holding, we'll work for food, why don't you just go get a job? But you were explaining that it's not that simple, because they may have a record.
Right. It's not that simple. Some of it is they may have been in jail for a long time, and if you have a huge gap in your resume, people
Yeah.
might say, like, so what did you do for these 10 years?
Right.
And if somebody says I spent 10 years in jail, you're going to be like, and if you're a sex offender,
Yeah.
we can all go to a website and see who you are.
Right.
If you have a violent felony like a malicious wounding,
Yeah.
even the person at McDonald's is not going to hire you because you maliciously wounded somebody. What are you going to do when I put too much stress on you at work?
Right,
And so
definitely.
it becomes, you get stereotyped. And even if you've changed your life, People don't know that by looking at,
Right.
a background check.
Right, exactly. And also, you hear about some bad stories that, bad things happen with somebody who was trying to help and
Yeah, it's in our society. I can tell
Yeah.
you that I've been doing this for 16 years. I've never been in danger.
Oh, yeah.
And but what happens is the news sort of puts one story out
Right.
there, and then we all run for fear.
Right, right, exactly. Well, and another myth, is probably because you hear often some people just want to be homeless,
Yes.
which I always find really hard to believe. Like, who would want to be homeless? Can you
Yeah,
address that?
look, I don't think, I've been doing this for a long time and I've known a lot of homeless people. I don't think anybody wants to be homeless. I think what
Yeah.
happens is they become homeless because of whatever circumstances. And after a period of time, if you've been homeless for 3 or 4 years and somebody says, do you want to be homeless? Sometimes you'll say that because that's a coping mechanism.
Right,
It's the
that
same
makes
thing.
sense.
It's the same thing like prisoners get when they go to jail.
Yeah.
When they go, I like being here, because you can't get out.
Right.
And so if you have a feeling like you can't get out, if you have been homeless for 6 years and you don't want to, you'll feel like a failure.
Right.
If I can say, I'm happy being here,
Yeah.
now I'm not failing because I'm right where I say I want to be.
Exactly.
But what I find is as we sort of dig into the surface, that's not the truth. And I think sometimes when I hear people say that, they're saying it for their own, because they feel guilty because they
gives them
haven't
a
done.
pass.
It gives them a pass. Like, I
Yeah.
feel guilty because I haven't helped you, but you want to be homeless.
Right, right. And I'm so glad you brought that up. I mean, you said that because I that has never sat right with me. I'm like, I just can't believe somebody would want that to live like that.
Right.
How about, about, we all see at every street corner, a lot of street corners, we'll see people. What do you suggest or what do you tell people?
Okay, so here's what I do. I say never give somebody money. 90, I'm not going to say 99, but 90, high 90% of those people will use their money for drugs and alcohol. Not all.
Well, a lot of people won't give for that very reason.
Right.
So you agree with that?
I agree with not giving, but
Yeah.
with a caveat that I suggest that you have an envelope in your car, and the money that you would have gave that person, you put in your car and you send it to a nonprofit that helps homeless people. Or
wow.
a second thing you could do is if they have a sign that says, we'll work for food,
Yeah.
a second thing you could do is you could have crackers
Yeah.
in your car, or, which would be really cool, if you had like gift cards to McDonald's. Like you could have like
yeah.
$2 or $3 gift cards and you could hand that to them.
Right.
But most of them wouldn't, some people everybody needs food, but eating's not a problem in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
What it is, and so I would you can make $100, $200 on the street, and the minimum wage in Virginia is less than $8 an hour. So if you do the math, it's almost financially advantageous to panhandle more than it is to
right.
get a job. And in some regards, by giving them money, you're sort of. So I'll share this with you. I've talked to people who have panhandled, a lot of them, and asked the question, why do you do it? And the first couple of times, people say they lose their dignity.
Oh.
But after you've done it for a certain amount of time, your dignity is gone and you're able to do it. In some ways, by giving them the money, you're helping still their dignity.
Oh, wow. Well, and are some of these people, literally that's what they do all day? They get up and they go out to panhandle?
Some people do, yes. Some people, and they work in groups. Most of the time, nobody panhandles by themselves. They usually
really?
work in groups.
So there's somebody nearby? Because a lot of times I see them by themselves.
No, they're never by themselves. If
Oh,
you know where to
wow.
look, there's always somebody around there.
Nearby.
Yep.
How about, speaking of church and other organizations, how the JCOC is very prevalent down at the Bush. Do you do coordinating?
We have a great relationship with JCOC.
Are y'all I mean, you're probably serving the same people,
We are.
right?
We are.
But are you offering different services?
We work together. Some of the same things we do, they don't do a medical clinic, so we do a medical clinic. We don't have housing, but they do. So there's times when I find somebody that they don't know about, and I'll call their executive director and say, hey, I have this person, and he goes out of his way to help house that person if he can. And so, and if he has somebody he needs help with, he can just call me. And so we have a real good relationship. It's,
right.
It's not an adversarial relationship. It's we're both working together to help the poor. We have a little bit different focus, but if you look at the grand scheme of things, we're really helping the poor.
Well, and another thing, because there are a lot of people, and especially people that are going to be watching this, they really do want to help. It's like, what can I do? And so you suggest, instead of, because I know people who will either bring little baggies of toiletries or blankets, and they'll just go out looking for homeless and then hand them those. But you think it's better
That's fine. I'm not going to tell somebody if God tells you to go out and do that, then do that. But I think the more effective thing is to find an organization that does that all the time, and give those to those organizations to help them give them out. Because what happens is the person, I'll give you an example. I had a lady one time who this group came out and gave her a toothbrush.
Yeah.
And she's like, Dallas, why'd they give me a toothbrush? And I was like, well, because they think you need one. She goes, but I got 7 toothbrushes.
Oh.
See, if you're just walking down the street with things, you don't know what people need.
Right, exactly.
You don't know them.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be like if somebody knocks on your door and says, here's a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
How do they know you need a cheeseburger?
Right, right,
You know,
exactly.
and so I think so what I suggest for people, now I did the opposite when we started this ministry because
Yeah.
God told me
Yeah,
to
you
go out
were
on the
the-
street.
you were one of those
was one of those people. So that's why I say if God tells you to
Yeah.
go do it. But if you want to really help, I would recommend find an organization and take your donations to them and let them give them out.
Right, okay. We do need to talk about the church.
Sure.
Because, you know, I am such a lover of the church, but it does, you know, how much is the church involved and how much should they be involved, and what has been your experience?
Well, can I say this, that I am a lover of the church too.
Yeah.
We are the church.
Yeah.
And so I think we get kind of caught up in our buildings or our denominations.
Right.
And so the church supports us.
Right.
Christians support
How do
us.
they support
well,
you?
we have some financial backing from churches that are church partners.
Yeah.
We have churches that bring us volunteers. We have actually, I'll give them some advertising. Central Church actually comes out every Thursday, the first Thursday of every month, and makes a taco dinner before our Bible study.
Oh,
And they
wow.
actually made these shirts because I kept joking them that you need to make a shirt that you're the taco church.
Yeah.
And last night they came and they had these shirts that said, you know, taco, Essential Church. And so it's just, I love that.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like we're, you know, the Bible says we're the body of Christ.
Right.
And I like it when all the churches come together because we're just one piece to help. Maybe we're experts in helping the poor, but there's so many churches in Virginia Beach that I love working with churches.
So if somebody's at a church right now that's watching and wants
Go to our website. Go to our website, and that's the best way. If they go to our website and send me an email, we can get them plugged in. I'll come meet with their church. I'll meet with their pastor because
Yeah.
I really want to get the churches more involved than they are.
Yeah.
Because I believe that's the answer to poverty in Virginia Beach.
Now,
It's not the city. It's not the government. It's the church.
Yeah.
You know.
What about housing homeless? Do you feel like churches should open their doors to their you know?
I think everybody has to pray about that. That's the
Yeah.
big thing is people have to pray about what it is because what can happen if your heart is not in the right place, you can become very angry with people.
Yeah.
You have to be doing what the Lord tells you to do
That's
because what
true.
happens is if you're doing it out of guilt,
Yeah.
you'll always get upset eventually. It's like when I went out to give out the sandwiches, there were times that things didn't go well.
Yeah.
But I didn't get upset because I knew I was doing what God wanted me to do.
That's a really good
It would be
point.
easy for me to go, why do these people not appreciate the things I'm doing for
Yeah.
them? But you know, I think about
You
it.
were doing it for a different reason.
I was doing it for God.
Yeah,
And so I
exactly.
couldn't be upset with them.
Right.
Because the one who sent me is the greatest.
Right, and you were doing it for him. You weren't
That's
doing
right. I was doing it
for the
yeah.
reaction you were going to
Yeah, I was. You know, when I was thirsty, you gave me water.
Yeah, I know. So what would you say to, again, somebody, they want to help, you know, because a lot of it is there are misconceptions, there are myths.
Right.
And how do you know, make sure people understand, because there is a great divide.
Right.
How you know, how can we
Well, here's the thing. I think
teach people?
I think the big thing is the relationships. So I say, go out and meet somebody that's homeless.
Yeah.
But don't meet them trying to save them.
Yeah.
Meet them just trying to build a relationship because they can see through that.
Right.
I run it all the time down at the oceanfront. I see people and they're trying to like save them, which
Yeah.
isn't. I appreciate that, but the problem is if they have 5 people do that, they feel like that's your thing,
Yeah.
not their thing. And so sit down and talk to people. Just say, hey, how you doing? Tell them about your life. Here's
Right.
what we do oftentimes. We sit down with homeless people and we try to tell them how to fix their lives.
Yeah.
Tell them about your life. You know, you would say, well, why would I tell them about my life?
that sounds so selfish and self-centered.
But it's a conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, we don't have we only talk about me all the time, we don't have a relationship.
Right.
It's one-sided, and they know that.
Yeah.
And so if they feel like that you're examining them, you'll get a different type of relationship. So like my daughter was 11 years old when we started this. If she had a recital, I would tell them about it.
Oh, wow.
And I would say, hey, my daughter has a recital. I actually had sometimes some homeless guys say, I want to come, and I'd take them.
Oh,
you
that's
know,
great.
and so that's a relationship.
Right.
That's community.
They became your friends.
They become your friends. And once they become your friends, then it's kind of like you would help a friend, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
So once people
and they're like you said, that's part of the dignity. You're giving, you know, they matter.
Right.
They're worthy.
Exactly.
So over the years, what has been sort of, you know, like, do you feel stronger about the human condition as, you know, as far as people helping compassion, or have you been hardened and
No,
more
I
cynical?
feel stronger about
You
it.
do? You feel?
I don't. you know, one of the things that people have to be careful about when they're in ministries like mine is being upset about the church and saying the church isn't doing enough. I love the church. I am the church.
Right.
And so like I don't get upset because I'm part of that body. And so like my job is to come on this show and share this with people.
Right.
Maybe the Lord right now is pushing somebody's heart and they're going to get involved.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, I'm not going to do this forever. Maybe there's somebody who's 17 years old that's watching this that's going to take my place when I retire.
Well, I love that you still have hope.
I do.
Good things every day.
see, man, I talk to people who are fired up about helping the poor, and so I'm excited about it.
Well, I am so thankful that you came here today, and they're going to put up your contact information also, so they'll be able to get in touch with you. It was wonderful to meet you.
Thank you.
I'm Ann Farrell Tata. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Joy in Our Town. Have a great day.